and we'll bring you some, is brisket and pork lasagna.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I've harassed you several times in the elevator to come to my restaurant, but
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
thank you,
This will be fun.
Mayor Buddy Dyer. You've been the mayor since 2003. I came from Puerto Rico in 2001 to study here at Rollins, and I remember when you got elected mayor. And I think a lot of the things that you've stood for have been great, especially, everything that's going now and in the news, and COVID last year, which was a very interesting year for you, I guess.
Well, it was different than any year we've had, obviously, with things being shut down. And we're used to doing, 10 events a day, 3 in the evening. So I think the biggest change for me personally was doing things via Zoom, which I didn't know what Zoom was prior to March of last year. And then I was home at 5 o'clock every day because we didn't have any nighttime dinners or receptions or anything like that. So I wish I'd used the time to improve my health, but instead, like a lot of people, a lot of visits to the refrigerator. But we're getting back to normal, and that's because people have been willing to get vaccinated.
It's been impressive how people have just come out ready. They're ready to go out. They're ready to enjoy life again. In the restaurant business, I'll tell you, the last 3 months has been something that we've never seen.
Pent-up demand for sure. We had the 4th of July fireworks, and because people are vaccinated, we were able to have a big crowd outside. We estimate that we probably had 120,000 people in and around Lake Eola Park. It was probably the biggest one we've ever had, but so many people coming out just wanting to be together and to do something together.
Yeah, it was, for us, it was the biggest sales day we've ever had. It was
4th of July was?
Yeah, it was. We've never had that amount of sales. And we were looking at each other going like, how did we just do this?
Well, nothing says 4th of July like barbecue.
Yeah. So did you always aspire to be a mayor?
No, I never considered it. I had been in City Hall one time before I was elected mayor. So I had served in the state Senate for 10 years, ran unsuccessfully in November 2002 for Attorney General. And then United States Senator Bob Graham had asked me to come to D.C. and be his general counsel. So I was on my way to do that, and in December, Glenda Hood, who was the mayor then, was appointed by Jeb Bush, who had just been reelected as governor, to be Secretary of State, and the City Commission decided to have a special election in January. So all these people started coming to me and saying, you need to run for mayor, you need to run for mayor. And I had never really considered it. It was nowhere in my game plan running for mayor, but I talked it over with my family, and a lot of the groups that would be influential in that election were saying, we're waiting to endorse somebody till you decide what you're going to do. There were 7 people that were already in the race, but I had represented 90% of the city of Orlando for 10 years in the state Senate, so I had pretty good name ID, and didn't win it the first time around, ended up in a runoff. I ended up winning, I don't know, by 16 points, I think. So I took office the very next day. So
wow.
I had a very big learning curve about local government.
Wow. Not being in it, just like me. I mean, I learned on YouTube. So it wasn't a business that I was supposed to be in.
We didn't have YouTube back then.
Yeah. You couldn't learn how to be a mayor on YouTube? What do you mean?
What I did do, though, was I organized the department directors as a cabinet like the president would have, and then had meetings with them 3 times a week to learn exactly what they were doing. And I created work-alongs, so I went out and worked with all the city departments once a month to learn the various jobs that people were doing, and to impress upon the employees that I couldn't do their job as well as they could, and that was true in just about every instance.
But that's good, because people get to know you. Obviously, you're not well informed of everything that's going on. So, and how many employees does the city have?
We have a little over 3,200. More than half, though, are fire and police.
Right.
And then Public Works is the next biggest department. So the vast majority of our city employees are working outside, not in City Hall.
It's a big staff. You were an environmental engineer?
I was. I got a civil engineering environmental emphasis from Brown University, and then worked 4 years as a civil engineer and with a couple of different companies, one in Houston, one in Ocala. I was actually an environmental engineer for a mining company who mined calcium montmorillonite, and they used that for cat litter and for grease absorbent. So I was the only non-cat litter salesman in the company.
That's funny. That's great.
The first job I had was with a company called Dawkins and Associates, and they were the City of Orlando environmental engineers. So the first project I ever did was rehabilitation of a pump station for the City of Orlando. And when I became mayor a couple of years after, we came back and rehabilitated that same pump station.
So you recognized it.
Right.
That's funny. That's great. What's your day-to-day like?
You know, every day is different, and you can look at your schedule, and the day is probably not going to shape up exactly like what's in your schedule. It's obviously changed. I still do a lot of Zoom meetings, but we have a lot of what I call mini cabinets. So whichever department director has an issue that I need to be briefed on, we'll bring the pertinent people and get briefed up on that. We do. We're getting back to having a lot of evening events. I have a lot of speaking engagements, a lot of ribbon cuttings. My kids, when they were young, thought the primary purpose of my job was to cut ribbons or do groundbreakings. But every day is a little different.
You have to come to the ribbon cutting for Pigzza, but it's I think it's great that you go out there and you do those kind of events, because I think the people really enjoy having you present, right?
We spend a lot of time outside the office doing small business visits or just getting out and being with the people. The other thing that I think a lot of people wouldn't realize, I serve on a ton of boards. So the Expressway Authority, the Airport Authority, Links, Metro Plan. So you end up spending quite a bit of time serving on those boards.
Meeting after meeting, just trying to make decisions. Yeah, that's tough. Favorite restaurants in Orlando?
Well, I'll have to start with Pig Floyd.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm thinking pretty much around you is I love mamak. So that's Malaysian food. Yeah. Bim Bom. I love that place. I got to throw in the tap room because we like to go there. So those are probably three. Then I do love barbecue.
You do?
Pork barbecue.
You know, when I invested in that whole area, everybody was talking about the fact that Mills wasn't a good area. I mean, most of my real estate advisors at that point were like, oh, it's a C+. And now everybody's like, oh my God, you're so lucky to be in Mills and all that. And it's changed so much.
Well, it's pretty much an ideal location because you're really between the downtown and Winter Park and easily accessible from I-4 or from the west. So I think you're in a pretty good location, and there's a lot of great businesses there. You can drive over to Mills 50 and not know exactly what restaurant you're going to and pick when you get there.
Pick one, yeah. It's changed so much over the years, and the development, has gone above and beyond in that specific area because the demographics are amazing.
I'll give you 20 guesses on where I was Saturday in Mills 50.
It wasn't Hawkers.
MX Tacos has a food truck in Wally's parking lot. So we were there and then got talked into doing shots at Wally's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was full at 11 o'clock.
Was it?
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot of diversity in that. And we now have 12 different main streets, and they all have a different character and flavor. But I think that's one of the best programs that we put together is all the businesses working together.
Did you create that Main Street program? And is that how it developed?
There's a national Main Street program, but it's primarily for smaller cities, say Apopka or Kissimmee, something like that. But we transferred their program into our commercial neighborhood districts, and I think it's worked great.
Yeah, it has. I mean, it's a lot of help. Joanne that works with us in the Mills district, she's fantastic. And I mean, it helps a lot with the small businesses that are in the area and the redevelopment of the area. I think, now I'm looking for another location to build Peggy Floyd's, which is a breakfast brunch spot I'm trying to do, and it's impossible to find locations. It's just everybody's taken everything, and the value of property there has gone astronomical, which is great for whoever owns the property.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. What did you see happening after some of the hospitality initiatives that you did through the pandemic, which I thought it was great that we can have seating outside and the parking and helping us with that?
I would say the primary things we did were the parklets. I think most of those are in the downtown or Thornton Park area, but letting businesses expand into either parking lots or public right-of-way, and not doing any permitting on that, allowing people to put up different types of signage without permitting. We are coming back now and saying if you're going to do those things, you need to have permits now. But I think that was helpful to a lot of different businesses.
It was helpful. Absolutely, for us. I mean, people were so scared, obviously, of dining inside that if we didn't have that outside area, it would have made it really tough for us. I mean, we still went into delivery and takeout mode in 60% of it during the pandemic, even after you guys reopened the inside of the restaurant. And I mean, it was so helpful. So thank you for that. I thought that was a very brilliant idea.
We were just trying to help people get through it.
Yeah, it was tough. I think it helped a lot. Are you continuing any initiatives that you started in the pandemic, even if it's not restaurant related, business related?
Primarily those, the parklets and the outdoor dining, but you have to have a permit to do it now.
I think that'll help a lot of the businesses in terms of, not having the wherewithal to sit a lot of people and do the business that's out there.
It was a good experiment and it worked.
Yeah. I've built now 2 restaurants with the city, and I always like to ask, is there anything that the city's working with in terms of creating a better communication between small businesses, people that are also like investing in the small business aspect, to communicate with the city and kind of work together to make things move?
Couple of things. We're online with all of our permitting and inspection processes, and we were fortunate that we had already gone virtual before the pandemic hit because we didn't lose any time in trying to switch up our operations. So that's one thing. It makes it easier to access. You don't actually have to come to City Hall to do most of what you need to do. We've also started something called Permitting Express, specifically aimed towards small businesses, that you get somebody specific that's going to work with you and make sure that you have everything you need before you even come into City Hall.
Yeah, I've been working with them for Pigzza, which has been a lot of help.
Good.
So yeah, that's working. We talk about the issue with permitting, which is the hardest part, probably because, as a small business, you have this budget, and time is everything in that. So that makes it a lot better for us in working through that issue.
Well, I always tell them our standard ought to be that time is the most valuable thing to a business that's coming through permitting. You don't mind getting a answer that's no, but if it is no, we want to tell you how to get to yes, and give you those answers in a timely fashion so that it isn't a drug out process, because usually somebody's borrowed some money to be able to do whatever it is they're going to do. So you've got interest going on that, and you have a business plan that says, I need to be open by this time to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest killers of businesses. And whoever talks to me about that, I say just budget a couple extra months just in case, because everything goes sideways usually when you're trying to open a business. It's not the easiest, but yeah, it's an issue that I had before, and I think the city has done very well in executing that smaller business initiative where, we get help faster. I just did the permits for Pigzza, and it took literally the 2 weeks that they promised, so it was great.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I know that during the pandemic, we had a big issue with tourism, and I know you're involved in it to a certain degree, right? I think it's more the south of the city. It still involves the city of Orlando. Have you seen those numbers go back up?
They're starting to go up. The airport's been really busy. It's probably where we were going to project a couple years out. It's already come back in terms of traffic. It's almost all domestic traffic, though, very little international. And of course, the international visitors stay longer. But I think the Visit Orlando folks are really targeting the drive-up market right now.
Yeah.
You know, the Georgia, Alabama, all of Florida, and they have a new ad campaign that they have going national right now.
Yeah, I think that's primarily what's going on.
You know, the problem, well, for the restaurant industry as well, is actually workforce. A lot of the hotels tell me they're not limited in terms of any government restrictions or anything. They're limited by the number of staff members that they're able to have and be able to have rooms and have things available for people to stay there.
You know, obviously the PPP helped a lot of businesses stay afloat. And then all of a sudden we're coming out of it, and now comes price hikes, you know, products. We can't get product. Yesterday I was told I can't get the ribs that I used to get for the last 7 years anymore.
How's the price of beef these days?
It's doubled. I mean, I was paying $2 for brisket. Now I'm paying $4.71 as of yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. And the workforce is, you know, amongst us, we talk about the fact that you can throw any amount of money out and it doesn't even matter anymore. Now it's not about the money. It's about, I think, the flexibility that everybody's liked from working from home or being able to travel and being able to work from a laptop. They figured out that if I can find a job doing that, why would I work, you know, at a restaurant where I'm stuck 8 hours a day?
Yeah, that's probably one of the things. And then daycare is another aspect of it. If you're not making much more than what you're paying in your daycare, you know,
It's
it doesn't
tough.
become worthwhile to do that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a transient business. You're doing it sometimes. A lot of people are doing it because they need the extra money, so they want part-time. It's nothing that not a lot of people decide that it's going to be a career unless it's the big companies, the Marriotts of the world, or the hospitality big guys. So it's always a challenge to keep staff excited. That's why I have to keep pushing growth so that people decide that, hey, there's an opportunity for growth in this company. And that's my next question to you. Like, how do you keep people that have been with the city so long excited, right? As a leader, how do you do that?
You know, we have a really good team at City Hall. My management style is to get really good people and then delegate to them so they have a sense of responsibility and you create a clear vision. I always say that 95% of the time, anybody that's a decision maker in the city of Orlando would probably make the same decision I would have made, and the other 5% of the time I've got their back. So you create that atmosphere where people know that they can take risk and do things that excite them, and you put people that are subject matter experts into the right positions to make them successful. And then, quite honestly, we work on really cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're in the middle of anything that's happening in the community, so they get a lot of opportunities to work on just really cool initiatives.
Yeah, it's just become harder and harder just to keep everybody super excited because I think like social media plays into it, right? They see what's going on in other places and they're like, oh, maybe I should just move there, you know? And I think the city as a whole has come a long way, even in dining options. I mean, the development of the restaurants, the different small restaurants.
We're definitely a culinary destination now,
Yeah.
and I think in large part, at least for the city, it's the main streets that are driving that. Because if you think of Curry Ford or Mills 50, Ivanhoe, all of them have great homegrown restaurants, not chain restaurants.
Not chains. And we've always been known for having all the big chains here because Darden this is their home.
Down on Sand Lake.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's very many restaurants that aren't chain restaurants.
That's
down there.
correct. Yeah. I mean, it's yesterday I was in a meeting with the two Pizza Hut guys, but they were from Darden, and that's what I asked them, like, why do you continue to practice in Orlando? And it's just that they can reach all the tourist markets, that they can just, you know, test a lot of their stuff here, and that way they transfer it to every other city in the United States where they have locations. And I always find that interesting, how people or how companies just, you know, test and obviously then when you're expanding into 1,000, 2,000 units, it's easier once you test it out in Orlando.
Well, we get 70 million visitors, or we had been getting 70 million. We'll be back on that at some point.
Yeah.
But they're from all over the world, so we are a great test market.
So if you're cooking at home and you want to cook your favorite dish, what is that?
That's a good question. I love fried eggplant, but I don't cook that much at home. You know what? Grilling oysters is one of my favorite things to do.
Really?
And then the regular things, burgers, and off the top of my head, what else do I make? Oh, breakfast. I like to just look in the fridge and whatever's in there, throw it in eggs and mix it all together.
That's
so
right. We got to get you some
specialty.
brisket so that you could throw some brisket on those eggs. Well, I think we appreciate your time. I thank you so much, and hope to see you in the ribbon cutting at Pigzza.
Okay. Well, I have a fun day today. I'm going to go release some baby swans into the lake for the first time.
That's pretty cool.
You do. One of the things about being married, you get to do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what I get the most positive feedback from is my voice on the tram at the airport.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. And the new tram, the new airport's pretty cool.
It is. When the new terminal opens, everybody's going to be impressed.
Yeah, I think it's been a great addition to it.
Well, thanks, and we'll be there for the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You want a free taco? You want a free taco? Hit the button to subscribe. Maybe I'll give you a free taco.